Planning on putting down roots in the Big Peach? Atlanta, Georgia is one of the sweetest spots in the South, known for its rich history, delicious dining, and abundant green spaces. The green spaces are in fact that green in Atlanta. It's something that the people of the city make sure of because they take great pride in their parks and green spaces. Atlanta's all about culture and horticulture too. Home to over 5.7 million people, much of the population consists of young people. The median age is 33, and although it's a bustling city, the residents insist on packing the place with its plenty of urban parks, walkable neighborhoods, and many outdoor amenities. In fact, 4.3% of the city is covered and devoted to green spaces. Atlanta is surrounded by forests, which does make for awesome hiking, biking, and fishing in the rivers, along with camping. Inside the city, there are 10 awesome parks in Atlanta that include several secluded secret gardens. The Japanese Zen Garden, for example, is a favorite place for locals and tourists to visit, and you just can't beat kicking back with cocktails in the garden when it's time to finally wind down. Booming economy. Grass isn't the only thing that's green in Atlanta, though. There is a lot of money to be made there, too. Atlanta is bursting at the seams with jobs. More than a dozen Fortune 500 companies are based in the city, so climb on up the corporate ladder, or if you want to be able to start your own show, the film industry is booming with opportunities. Atlanta is one of the top 5 and up-and-coming tech spots in the nation too, with UPS, Delta Airlines, and Randstad North America thriving and hiring as well. The job growth is expected to go by 2.6% this year, and even more so in 2022. It is no wonder then why people are packing up and moving to Atlanta, but that's all right. With a booming economy, there's always room for more to enjoy the plunder. $88,400 is the average annual salary in Atlanta, which isn't too shabby when you consider the cost of living is 2% cheaper than most of places in the US. Housing is cheap too, with the average house running you out about $250,000, and you can even still rent a decent one-bedroom apartment for $700. Although, kind of being a little bit more realistic, you're going to be looking at around $1,500 on average for an upscale complex. Dinner and drinks for two will run you about $45, and the trip to the grocery store is amazingly affordable too. Food. But if you aren't into making your own meals, you don't have to. The Atlanta restaurant scene brings so much to the table that it's earned the reputation as being the new foodie capital of the American South. You'll never lack for good old Southern fried comfort meals in this city at hometown dives like the Busy Bee Cafe and Sweet George's Juke Joint, because it's home to the largest drive-in restaurant in the world, serving up to the equivalent of over 2 miles of hot dogs every day, not to mention 2,500 pounds of potatoes. Atlanta is an immigrant-friendly city, so it's also become a melting pot for mouth-watering cuisine from Latin America, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa too. Although it is nowhere near the coast, the town is also swimming with some of the best seafood in the nation. Food isn't something that's just eaten in Atlanta, but rather it's celebrated. And it's all done in good taste at the events like the Taste of Soul, Foodorama at Grand Park, the Fish Fry Festival, and of course, the famous Grilled Cheese Fest, Nightlife and Entertainment. If food isn't enough to get you packing, just wait till you get a load of the nightlife. You'll find everything from lazy lounges and downtown rooftop bars overlooking the city skylines to sophisticated clubs and what Atlanta fans endearly call Hotlanta. If something more active is up your alley, the Midtown Bowl is open until 3 a.m., or you can take a step back in time at the Joystick Game Bar, which is a retro arcade and watering hole. Atlanta's always been in tune with music, so it's practically everywhere. You can even create your own music at Metalsome, where you can karaoke to heavy metal with a live band backing you up. Then head on over to the Trap Music Museum, where the evening playlist includes a tour of the art exhibit and an escape room challenge. If you go during Trappy Hour, then they'll throw in a glass of champagne and 2-for-1 drinks for just a song. Wind it all down at the Georgia Aquarium, where you can snooze and booze with the fish and the Sips Under the Sea sleepover package. Sports. If you like sports, Atlanta is sure to be a hit with you. It's got all the American favorite pro teams like the Falcons football team, Hawks basketball, the Braves baseball, and Atlanta United soccer. If you're into tennis, you'll love that Atlanta is home to the BB&T Atlanta Open every summer. College sports is also a big thing in Atlanta too. Fall is a festival of football that begins with the Chick-fil-A kickoff game and keeps on going all season with packed stadiums and enthusiastic fans at every single game. If you don't want to be on the sidelines, there are 793 amateur sports clubs in and around Atlanta where you can take a swing at such activities like baseball, football, soccer, tennis, golf, hunting, fishing, and swimming. Open year-round is the Centennial Olympic Park in downtown, which was originally built for the 1996 Olympics, which Atlanta hosted, and it's still up and running with 22 acres of green space where you can jog, walk, bike, or spin off in a game of frisbee. History. Atlanta is rich with history, and it's never forgotten. You'll find reminders of it every turn at the city. Founded in 1937, it was once the end of the Western and Atlantic Railroad line, with trains coming in from 4 different directions. Homes and businesses were built, and people flocked into the Southern Rail Hub. When the Civil War broke out, a heavy toll was taken on Atlanta, but the townspeople resiliently bounced back. Atlanta played a huge role in the civil rights movement too, and was improved by leaps and bounds ever since. You can find out more about the city's heritage at the Atlanta History Museum and many other designated museums and historical sites. The weather. The weather in Atlanta is pretty mild. Although it doesn't experience enough of the 4 seasons to know they're there, they are generally pleasant. Except for an occasional dip into the 30s or 20s, the winter temps hover in and around the 50s during the day. If it does happen to snow once or twice, Atlantans don't sweat it. The city just shuts down in full holiday mode. The sun shines 217 days a year, but summers in Atlanta are fairly comfortable, only ever reaching the 80s and 90s, and occasionally hitting that 100 mark, but it's quite rare. In June and July, the humidity will get you, and it might be a little much, which is why the city is dipping with cool things to do, like floating down the Chestney River or swimming in one of the many lakes that are just a short drive from the city. The weather in spring and fall are like a dream though, so definitely check it out. Diverse culture. Speaking of dreams, Dr. Martin Luther King definitely had one, and it is alive and well in Atlanta, which happens to be his birthplace and the birthplace of the civil rights movement. If you're longing to settle into a place where racial tension isn't a thing like in many other parts of the country, then you'll do well in Atlanta, Georgia. In fact, it's one of the most diverse locations in the Southeast, a majority-minority city with pockets of people from all across the globe. Civil rights are in fact celebrated at cultural centers sprinkled across the city, like the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historical Park, National Center for Civil and Human Rights, and the Herndon House Museum. Neighborhoods. Won't you be my neighbor? In Atlanta, you won't mind having neighbors because the neighborhoods are absolutely amazing and spread out too. It's one of the most attractive places to live in the US, with Victorian houses and craftsman bungalows nestled among tree-lined streets and well-tended gardens. Each of the prominent neighborhoods have their own distinct personalities. Even the streets are flavorful, with 68 of them being named after peach trees. Oddly, the number of streets named after peach trees actually outnumber the amount of actual peach trees in the city. Get away. No matter where that you might live, it's always nice to be able to get away sometimes. In Atlanta, that's a cinch because Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport is the busiest airport on the planet. So you'll have access to hundreds of daily flights to be able to travel all around the world. If you're not so much of a road trip person, the North Georgia mountains are only an hour and a half away. Savannah, Chattanooga, and Asheville are also just right around the corner. The way Atlanta is even laid out, you can travel in 50 miles in any direction and find a great getaway, or you can enjoy an adventure in your own backyard, such as kayaking and river rafting at the Chattanooga River National Recreation Area.